Well, I wiped on my UIM a few months ago. 3 months ago, to be exact. The tone of this was supposed to be kind of sad, but it was a while ago, like I said. And I say I wiped, which most people would think means I died while having all of my items in a death storage while doing like a risky activity. But the way I died was much more embarrassing because it was totally preventable. I was doing the Sins of the Father quest, and no matter how many times I would try the final boss, I always seemed to just barely run out of food due to inventory restrictions. So what I started doing was death piling at the Wine of Zamorak spawn by, repeatedly trying to grab the wine until the monks would beat my ass to death. And my respawn point was Falador, so it was a quick run back to that spot where all my items would sit for an hour before they would despawn. But my process was to death pile, grab my gear and noted prayer pots, and then make pineapple pizzas for the fight. When I was ready to go, I would unnote my stack of prayer pots and use the dragon battle axe spec right next to the potion cellar in the Warriors Guild so that I could boost my attack and defense with her stock. Then I would use the Draken's Medallion to teleport to Versanaza and then run to the rowboat to take me back to the Icene graveyard to fight Vanstrom Klause once more. But I kept dying or having to teleport out due to running out of supplies and having low health. It got really demotivating, but I'd always had plenty of time to try a couple attempts before having to go back to my death pile to start the process all over again. My account didn't wipe because I forgot which world my items were on, or because I disconnected or couldn't run back to my pile in time. What happened was, after one particularly close attempt against Claus, where he had almost no health left, I hit 7 zeros in a row before he smacked me down, and I was really over this boss fight. I'd beat it on my main account, but no matter how many times I tried on my UIM, it just seemed like I couldn't get it. I logged out and completely forgot about my death pile. A couple hours later, it hit me all at once what had happened. I logged back in and saw that none of my things were in my inventory, and even though I knew which world I had death piled on, I hopped to several worlds in the vain hope that the death pile would just be sitting there on the ground, defying the 1 hour despawn code and waiting there patiently for me to pick it back up. But everything, except for what was stored in my POH, like Graceful or Void, was gone. I knew as soon as I saw everything was gone that I was done playing Ultimate Iron Man forever. For the rest of that day, I was kicking myself. I even told my wife that I had wiped, and she genuinely tried to understand why she should care what that means. But the very next day, I started the rebuild. I wasn't trying to get back every single noted potion, or the untradables, or the millions of GP and seeds and herbs. I just opened my wardrobe in the POH and saw the Graceful and thought I could go for some agility pyramid. So I did. I got back some GP and then thought, what is really the most painful thing I lost in the wipe? Probably the herb sack and seed box I spent hours earning through the tithe farm minigame. And that is exactly what this clip is playing in the background while I talk. My tithe grind to get back the seed box. Once I got the seed box, I kind of realized I didn't need the herb sack anymore. It was useful for aberrant specter tasks, but the main reason I'd gotten it was so that I could do herbivore. And before I wiped, I did over 100 herbivore KC. But when your herb lore is only in the 50s, you don't get anything spectacular when you loot poor Herbie at the end. I had had my fun with herbivore, and I didn't feel like grinding out more tithe, so after I got the seed box, I moved on to the next grind. I can't even remember the order I did the, regrinds in, but I currently have more items and total levels on my UIM than I did when I wiped. I've done hard clues for the magic short bow and black D-hide. I got the black D-hide right when they nerfed it, but I was still pretty stoked. It still got the same attack, I think, bonuses, so still works for safe spotting pretty well. I also unlocked broader fletching, got myself a rune crossbow, and just recently I finally unlocked Malevolent Masquerade and have about 8 items rolled up into one, the Slayer helm. That one helmet saves a lot of inventory space, which as you know is quite useful for ultimates. I guess my main takeaway was to not let your whole account be about your bank or even your inventory full of items. The gear and items are just a way to enable you to have fun and play the game.